feel that if I am going to fight for no one being above the law, then even a silly thing like a bus ticket matters to me. That I must buy a bus ticket. If I do buy the bus ticket, I will fight with the conductor for the ticket because they don't give you tickets. So the ticket has to be fought for. And if you go to a dukan, then you haggle and bring down the price. But then you ask for a bill and the dukandar thinks you're a mad woman. He says, why do you want to pay sales tax or a VAT? And then I say, but that's my money to the government. I don't want you to cheat me. So you reduce the price, but I will pay the VAT and take a bill. So the battle is never ending. So we have to see, to remove ourselves from that kind of bankruptcy. Ethics is a part of everyday activity. In every act, I think we have to see. And then, of course, there's the huge consumption battle. I won't go into it. Where should I live like this, or should I live like that, or should I have this, or should I not have this? Should I have more than so many sets of clothes? So ethics at our level descends to this, or rises up to that. I don't know, whichever way you see it. But for the general people, there must be one thumb rule, and that is the rule of law. One must accept that no one is above the rule of law, whether it's a cop fining you at the red light because you have not listened to or seen the light, or whether you're fined because you don't have nowadays the seat belt, or because you're speeding. We've done wrong, we quietly pay up. At that time, we always have an inclination to say, मैं इसको जानती हूँ, मैं उसको जानती हूँ, तुम क्यों ऐसे कर रहे हो? We fight the cop. That point, I think we all need to look sharp and look at ourselves. I've oversimplified the case, but public ethics is very important, especially when you deal with poverty and you deal with the underprivileged and you treat them as low-class citizens. Public ethics is crucially important to me, and at that point I really feel I'll fight to the bitter end. So I think, I've tried to muck around with this question. It's a very, very important question, and I think I'll take it back with me, and maybe we'll correspond, and I'll keep putting in little bits and pieces with you.
But in one line, no, the first part of your question, ethical bankruptcy cannot be fought by a law alone, but the debate around a law, I think, can do a lot towards restoring measures of ethics in our public life.
I'll start with an example and then I'll build my question. If my knowledge is right, the Police Act which we have right now and the public service which they're supposed to provide us is governed by a law which is 150 years old. Okay, so how do you intend to address grievances if laws which are governing us right now are draconian laws which were made by imperialists who wanted to put us down? So we also talked about systemic change, but why bring up the question about grievance redressal when you should really focus on systemic change and then have a appellate authority or whatever kind of system?
Yeah, I think at one level you're absolutely right that one needs to look at each law and sort out that law, and grievance redress is a kind of an omnibus fallback. Actually, you should have no grievance if you have good laws. The laws take care of themselves. But there is a need for an omnibus fallback. Just as there was a need for a right to information law, a good transparency regime should have done away with the need for a right to information law. But that law is crucial. So today, in the situation that we find ourselves, actually that omnibus fallback, even in the police, even when we deal with the IPC or we deal with, it's not just that, there are hundreds of laws. And actually in grievance redress, we'll deal with each department and God knows how many laws, and it's going to be quite a complex web. But if you can find a kind of fallback, the trouble today, actually it's very interesting. When we began this debate and we're having this debate about grievance redress in Rajasthan, and we've actually taken this law, it would be very interesting for you to see how one takes laws right down to the village and little meetings and has discussions and comes back. And you know what came out of a Dalit group in Bhilwara district who had been fighting on Dalit issues? They said, "Aap ye 3 slogan lagao. The 3 things that you use for grievance redress and whistleblower protection." Just before we had this, and it came from a Dalit group. ordinary people in a village who had been fighting on Dalit issues, सुनवाई चाहिए, कार्रवाई चाहिए और सुरक्षा चाहिए. We want to be heard, we want action, and we want protection, security. And it is really amazingly those three things. I mean, those became our slogans for this convention that we held on the 10th and 11th. One big problem is देश में सुनवाई नहीं हो. You don't get heard. You just don't get heard. Leave alone redress, you don't get heard. And in fact, in the grievance redress law, the first question is, how do you register your grievance and get a registered dated receipt? Because those characters don't take your complaint or your application. In NREGA, there's a law that says if you don't get work in 15 days, you should get compensation. But who's going to let you prove that you haven't got your work in 15 days? They don't take your application and they don't give you a dated receipt. So that's a sunwai to ho. So how do you deal with sunwai? Phir karwai to ho. How do you deal with action? So actually, even in the police, if you go to the police thana to complain against the police, are they going to take your application? And it's like going into the lion's den. So how do you deal with a fallback mechanism that will allow you to register a grievance against some department like the police and get you a dated receipt so that the first step takes place? So I really, if we can get, before all of you leave, we can leave a piece of paper and get your email addresses. We'll mail you the grievance redress law that we framed. And we can mail you the website thing in any case and tell you, but we can also mail you things, and those who are interested, we can put you on our mailing list. But the grievance redress law, to my mind, is really as important as any of the anti-corruption things and needs to be discussed and debated. And it's not there's nothing perfect in it, but it is a big step forward, I think.
But as we know, this era of strong PM is over. And now High Command is more powerful than PM. So I think except barring some communist parties, there is no consistent democratic structures within the political parties. So my question is that how can democracy brought within not only within the political parties, but also within the social movements? Because I am referring here also to criticism of Anna movement by many intellectuals that this is not a democratic movement. Earlier, NVA movement was also criticized, and your movement was also criticized by some circles. That these movements are building up around strong personalities. So how this question of democracy within political party and within social movement can be addressed?
Yeah, I think there is actually, in the MKSS, I'll start with ourselves, because there is if you go out, Aruna is a figure. Next to Aruna, now Nikhil is a figure. And that's the unfortunate part, that if you look at the MKSS, the English-speaking lot, the ones who go out, the ones now who are seen on television or in the media, that's exactly how, and the media also plays a huge role in wanting to project these single personalities who reflect themselves, in a sense, because they won't, Chuni Singh they'll do one story on Chuni Singh, but Chuni Singh will never come out as a kind of strong leader. Although if you were to see an MKSS meeting, there are such massive fights amongst the 25-30 of us in our meetings every month. Massive. I mean, we feel like the walls will come down, and yet we come out smiling at the end of it, because we managed to actually get all our debates and discussions going. Now, in the MKSS, what Aruna talked about that story of the ducks, the super duck and the sub ducks. In the MKSS, we've learned through experience that there are times when Aruna is important. There are times when Chuni Singh is important. There are times when Chuni Bai is important. There are times when Baluji is important. And there are times when Shankar is important. And you can never ever expect Aruna to perform the real role that Shankar does. And you will choose. All 30 of us will say, for this, let's get Shankar. For that, let's get Baluji. And each one have performed as important a task as the other. The projection is Aruna is the leader. Actually, Aruna is not the leader, and good leadership is collective leadership. We may also fail in that. We have failed in the sense that even now we are unable to project a collective leadership. Yeah. So, anyway, Nandini.
I want to add to this because I have known both of them for like now 18 years. I've known her for 18 years also, and when she got the Magsaysay award, actually I was working with the Press Institute of India then. Ajit Bhattacharjee, who she's been talking about for so long, was the director, a very renowned journalist. He proposed the name, he proposed her name for the Magsaysay award. And I tell you why, for the simple, and then she refused. She said, I'm not going to take this award because this is given only to an individual. I want to take it for MKSs, not for myself. And I remember we all had a meeting and we insisted that she take the award because at that time MKSs, and even now I don't know, had no funds. She doesn't take a single money and donation from anyone. This is something which MKSs believes in. They don't take any donation from any organization, individual or anybody. So I remember when we used to work together, she would be coming in buses and trains and there was no money to pay for those tickets. No money to pay for anything. I mean, a simple taxi she would take from the station to our Press Institute, there was no money. It was incredible. I mean, I have seen that. I have seen how she lives. I have never met a more remarkable person than her. I can tell you that much. I am her greatest admirer, if nothing else. And we forced her to take the money. She took the Magsaysay award, and I think she made it into a trust. That trust now belongs to MKS.
No, it's independent
no?
of us.
It's a Janhit. Okay. It's independent. But it's not in her name. Till today, she doesn't own anything besides, I think she has whatever.
I'm married. So
I know, I've seen your house. I've been to your house. She's a remarkable person. So I mean, we cannot say that, this is her personality is overwhelming the MKSs or she is projecting herself as a leader and nobody else. I have never seen a more self-effacing person than her. I mean, it's totally a democratic setup. If MKSs is anything, it's a democratic setup. Where everybody has a say. We took Northi Bai. She was talking about those villages in Rajasthan. I remember when I was in Press Institute, we had a conference in Bangalore. And we took this lady, Northi Bai, at that time, this was 1998, I think, or something like that. 2000. No, it wasn't 4. It was 2001 or something. When, information technology, internet and all was not such a big thing. And this Northi Bai, class 5 pass?
no.
Not at all educated. Totally uneducated. Self-taught. She knew how to work the internet. She knew how to work the computer. She had done all the mapping over there in Tilonia of all the water bodies which were there. And she knew exactly how to operate that. We were fascinated by this lady's knowledge. And we took her to Bangalore and immediately she became the darling of the media over there. Everybody. She was carried front page over there. So nobody had seen a person like that. And this was all due to her. I mean, I to give everybody their due. And I think that is true democracy. She has never ever projected herself, even when we were fighting for the Right to Information Act, I remember. It was always Shankar saying, it was always Nikhil, it was always somebody else or the other. She was always in the background. So I think to say that, and today I can see from the dwindling numbers that are over here, we expected many more. And this is so sad. People have this image that it's either because she's with the NSC, she is with them, not with us. And that's what makes me very sad. It really makes me sad because it's not true. She's neither with them or with us. She is working for a cause. She's not taking any sides. She's not with the Congress or with the BJP or with anybody. She's working for a cause, and that's the common man, the last denominator, the grassroots person. She's always worked for that. And I think we should all realize that. And that's the reason why in the International Center we've called her. Because we called Santosh Hegde also. He was the architect of the Jan Lokpal bill and everything. We called him. We gave you opportunity to listen to him. Similarly, wanted to call her to give you an opportunity to listen to the other voice, whatever there's so many voices on this Jan Lokpal bill. We don't take any stands in the International Center. We are totally a neutral body here. And we want to give you all an opportunity to listen to every voice and take a decision of your own. the mandate of International Center, not to be in the herd, not to just follow everybody. It's not because we call Santosh Hegde, we believe in what he says and believe in the... We take a very rational stand. We are neutral. And that's why we call her, and we will call others also. We'll call everybody. I mean, we'll call thinkers. We'll call people who are take one side or the other, but we don't take a side. And I think that's what I feel that all of us should do over here also. We are all intelligent beings. Why we should be rational and take a very, very rational view, and then make an intelligent decision. That's what I have to say. And because I've known her for so long, and I was actually, I know what she's all about.
The most valuable input that I'm taking away from here today evening is the process that you have been following for 30 years to create a democratic system within yourselves as a group mechanism. Most of the time, working together seems to be the most challenging aspect as for myself in India. It's easier to collaborate outside with people all around the world. This is something that I'm just sharing. And what you're suggesting and what you're sharing of your own group mechanism seems to me something that we could really learn from. And if that could be documented, or could be, so that could be the alternate to the legislation in our daily lives, because I think we are becoming far more political in our daily life in a same forum as Indian government is.
Thank you very much.
Want to say that there's no problem with numbers, Nandini? I always think of that famous joke about the musician, and that he was singing and he began with 10 and it dwindled to 1. And at the end he said, कोई ना कोई तो एक तो रह गया, तो मेरे संगीत से तुम्हें आनंद आया होगा. And the man said, जी आप हमारे टेंट हाउस की दरी पे बैठे हैं. तो इसलिए कोई भी हो, मगर मैं कह रही हूँ आप तो उससे तो बेहतर हैं. जितने भी लोग आए हैं, you've come, you've waited, you've listened, and the numbers is no problem. We have learned that 10 really serious people are worth 1,000 just for the crowd. So thank you very much for coming, and each one of you coming has been very valuable for us. Thank you.